The very hard Mythril Mines limited time crisis dungeon is upon us, and I'll tell you right now, it's a little bit of a doozy. I'm Jace, and in this Ever Crisis video, I'll be guiding you to an S+ clear. Alright, now before we get into the equipment overview, there's something really important on the screen that you should absolutely pay attention to. You want a hint? Starting with Zack, he has his Black Hound attire equipped, boost HP, boost physical attack. Black Whiskers in the main hand, that's going to bring an extra triangle sigil break and allow him to reduce physical defense. I'm bringing his defender because Rude, the last boss of this crisis dungeon, hits really hard and he's immune to physical attack down, so this is one way we're going to mitigate damage. For his limit break, I'm bringing level 8 slash combo. As for materia, a 4-star Aurora Blow, a 3-star Fire Blow. There's actually one boss that's weak to fire here and is going to put up a shield against wind damage, so it's good to have at least a little bit of fire damage. And a Triangle Ruinra. As for Zack's sub-weapons, we have Motor Drive at Overboost 1, Buster Sword at Overboost 4, and Left Go Kipseli at, well, OB10 of course. Here are Zack's R abilities if you want to see them. Next up is Matt. Matt's going to be our primary DPS. He's rocking his Killer attire, Killer Hornet in the main hand at Overboost 5, Slick Beetle in the secondary slot at Overboost 1. He's rocking Judgment Bolt, so no limit break for him, he's going to be bringing the summon. As for materia, 4-star Fire Blow, 4-star Aurora Blow, and a Circle Ruinra. Matt's going to be able to break extra circle sigils because he's main-handing Killer Hornet. For sub-weapons, Mad Minute at Overboost 3, Bald Eagle at Overboost 2, and Torn Wing at Overboost 10. Here are Matt's R abilities if you're interested. And last but not least, Tifa, who's going to be our healer. We're using the Amaranth outfit from the FF9 crossover event. In her main hand, Lifeguard Wraps for healing of course. In the secondary slot, Bahamut's Knuckles. This is going to give her some extra stats, some HP, but also allow her to break diamond sigils, which is going to be useful throughout this run. For her limit break, she's rocking the level 8 Somersault. As for her materia, a 3-star Aurora Blow, Healing Azuna for poison, which is going to help us against the dragon, and a 4-star Kira for single target healing. For her sub-weapons, Hellhouse Cannon at Overboost 10, Glenn's Hardcore Squad at Overboost 6, and Aerith's Chocobo Staff at Overboost 10. Here are Tifa's R abilities in case you're interested. So that's the team we're running. Let's hop into the run. The first thing we're going to do is head down these vines and go to the right and go straight up to the Land of Sadness and Despair, aka the Dragon Fight. I didn't bring any strong non-elemental damage, so this fight's going to take me a while. I'm going to start off by focusing down the dorky faces because they have an ability that reduces the magic and physical attack of one of your party members by 3 tiers, and I personally enjoy dealing damage, so we need to get rid of these as quickly as possible. There it is, Weary Breath. We were able to kill it in time. For the dragon's Poison Shriek, I swapped to defensive stance. It doesn't deal a whole lot of damage, but I don't see any reason not to mitigate it, and I'm going to clear off the poison using the Healing Azuna that I brought. Dragon Stomp is a powerful physical AoE damage ability. You want to switch to defensive stance to mitigate that. Next up, the boss is going to use Crushing Bite. He's going to target one of your party members, hit them for a decent amount, and reduce their physical defense by 3 tiers. I decided to mitigate it. You might not necessarily need to, but I still recommend it. After the boss has done that, he's going to target that same party member and do a couple of single target attacks that hit actually very hard. So that first one hit for about 2200, and the next one's going to hit for even more. You can watch the boss's behavior and switch to defensive stance before they're able to get the hit off, and I recommend doing that. If you leave the boss alive long enough, or rather you haven't pushed it to about 50% HP just yet, he'll also use Poison Breath, inflicting poison on one of your party members. You can just get rid of that with a Healing Azuna as well. But you can also skip that phase by bringing the boss to about 50%, a little bit faster than I did, and he'll instead go into his Barrier Stream phase. I'm going to get through this pretty quickly since I have extra Triangle Sigil Break on Zack and extra Circle Sigil Break on Matt. From here on, it's just doing as much damage as you possibly can. Again, it's going to be slow for my party because I don't have any non-elemental weapons. That's just not something that I have in abundance on my account, unfortunately, so I'll have to wishlist something. But the rest of the fight is just going to be us pushing as much damage as we possibly can. If you leave the boss alive for too long, he'll use Aggravated and start charging up Dragon Dive. That's a much stronger AoE physical attack than the Stomp, and it's going to cost you a lot of score, and you're definitely going to have to heal up after it. So if you're able to kill the boss before it gets that off, it's good for you. Killing the boss, not taking a Dragon Dive. Do not take a Dragon Dive. So this fight was a little bit longer than I would have liked. We were still able to get about 50,000 points, which is okay. It's not good, but it's not terrible. For the trance ability, I decided to take physical defense up, and we head on over to the left. We're going to see our first random encounter. It's against 3 Tenawats. Really all they do is just use single target wind attacks, use it as an opportunity to heal up, and stock a little bit of ATB for the next fight. We'll pick up everything that's in the chest here, and we'll head down to fight the Mad Anchor. The Mad Anchor comes with 2 Tenawats, and to start off the fight, I decided I wanted to just focus down the boss and deal as much damage as I possibly can before he's able to put up a shield. What I was hoping to do was time Tifa's limit break to delay threat assessment, but since I had the reaction time of a bowl of jelly, I wasn't able to pull it off. I assumed that the boss was going to put up shields here, but for some reason it didn't, so I already switched to fighting the ads, and you want to take those out in a decent amount of time, because if you don't, they use something called Spume Spray. I don't know what it does, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't heal your party, so just go ahead and kill them before they pull it off. Don't worry, those are my AirPods about to run out of battery, not yours. From here on, we're still going to be doing as much damage as we possibly can to the boss, just spamming wind abilities. I mentioned that we brought some Fyra blows for Matt and Zack, and that's because this boss is eventually going to put up a wind shield. And once he does that, we're going to switch to doing fire damage, even though he's also going to put up a shield against physical damage. Now, for some reason, he still hasn't put up any of his shields, so I'm just going to keep wailing on him. But he's going to be doing some attacks kind of peppered throughout, such as Gale Pistols, which is a single target magic attack. He's going to do a couple of other physical ones. There's the AoE one that you've already seen on the screen here, but he also does a little bit of a stronger single target physical attack that you definitely want to mitigate with defensive stance if you're playing as fast and as loose as I am with the HP. So there it is, Heavy Bash. You can see we mitigated it on Tifa, but it still hit us for a decent amount of damage, especially because one of his attacks reduced all of our physical defense by 3 tiers. So we're continuing to push here, and in not too long from now, the boss is going to go into Breakdown. It's going to use Preparing Analysis, it'll try to assess our threat levels, it'll fail, and then it'll get a very potent physical and magical defense down debuff. And pretty much when that happens, the fight's over. He just melts. Still a little bit of a longer fight, but we're able to net just over 56,000 points, which is not bad at all for a very hard Crisis dungeon. In terms of trance abilities, I'm not losing any healing, and I don't have wind resistance down, so we're just going to take the tiny amount of wind potency. We're going to pick up the chest, and we're going to go into our second random encounter. This is just 2 different zoos, or Fiery Condors and an Icy Raven. I don't know, they're the same. Just hit them with wind attacks until they're dead. There's nothing to worry about. We're going to head into the Air Anchor fight without using any items, and we're going to pop all 3 limit breaks. The Air Anchor, or what's this thing called? Airbuster. Anyway, the Airbuster is immune to physical and magical defense down, just like the Mad Anchor was. And so Tifa's limit break isn't going to do anything except for add a damage modifier for Zack's and Matt's. Our summon is going to kill off the ads so we don't have to worry about them, and we're just going to pump as much arrow damage as we can. EM Field doesn't deal a whole lot of damage, but we're still going to swap to defensive stance just to mitigate it. And I'm going to swap to Matt and hold just a tiny bit of ATB on him so that we can be ready for the stream phase. Now Tifa's going to take care of the Diamond Sigil with her secondary weapon, and Matt is going to be taking care of the Circle Sigil. There are a couple strategies you can use for this boss. You can break this stream phase as quickly as possible, that way Tank Buster right afterward deals as little damage as possible, or you can just deal as much damage as possible. If you brought a character that has physical defense up, just be careful, once you finish that stream phase, that character is going to try and get rid of the physical defense debuff that's on your party. This is where we're able to pick up a lot more score compared to the last 2 bosses, netting just over 61,000 points. And for the trance ability, I'm going to pick Physical Attack. Before we go into the next boss, I'm going to use 2 supplements on Tifa because she's been getting targeted quite a bit. And then we're going to head into fighting the zoos. Now I'm going to take care of the Tenawats right off the bat, just because I don't want to deal with them. I still don't know what Spume Spray does, I still don't want to know, so we're just going to kill them beforehand. Keeping a close eye on our HP, since we're trying to use as few items as possible and focus on dealing as much damage as possible. We're going to pop all 3 limit breaks. Again, we're not going to be able to cancel the boss's ability because I'm too slow. So the boss is still going to start casting his AoE physical attack, but we're going to get in a decent amount of damage before he casts it. I decide to mitigate just a little bit of damage with Matt before the boss does his AoE. Still hits us for a decent amount of damage, but nothing too scary. But you want to be careful because right afterward, he's going to use a single target ability on one of your party members. I happen to be in defensive stance when he targeted Zack, otherwise Zack might have died there. During the stream phase, he's also going to be targeting different party members with single target attacks. They don't deal a ton of damage, but if your HP is quite low, you really want to be careful. But really, once you break this stream phase, you should be able to do plenty of damage and take him out rather quickly. And that's that fight. Again, this is another boss fight that gets us a lot of points. There's a reason that we fought the dragon and the mad anchor earlier. It's because those fights just tend to take longer, at least for my team, so we may as well try and beat them while things are still a little bit easier. Now, I decided to take the physical defense duration increase there for my trance ability, and for items, I'm just going to be using a supplement and then a tent and an arrow cocktail on Matt to boost our damage, and we're going to go ahead and fight Rude. Dude, I really want them to make Rude a playable character. I want Rude in my party. Anyway, this is the only fight that I haven't sped up. It's a rather complicated fight compared to the other ones. It's also brand new, so we're still getting used to it. So right here at the beginning, I'm going to go into Tifa's Limit Break to get debuffs on Rude. And we're going to try and deal as much arrow damage as possible. Now, for some reason, the gauge didn't register the first arrow blow that I did with Zack. And so we're actually a little bit behind on the damage in terms of where I want it to be. And at this point, I'm starting to panic because he's not through the gauge yet. I try to use Zack's Limit Break, the game just says no, and Zack takes a shockwave to the face. Now at this point, I'm still a little bit frazzled, and instead of just hitting him with another arrow blow, I use Zack's Limit Break. This was a bad idea, don't do this. He still has defense up until you've depleted that gauge. So what I should have done is just use the arrow blow on Matt. Once you do that, Rude is going to get stunned, and he's going to get 3 tiers of physical and magical defense down on himself. Now is the time to use Limit Breaks, because it'll deal plenty of damage to Rude, and if you have an AoE Limit Break or a summon, you can deal a decent amount of damage to the adds as well. With Rude being stunned, I use this as an opportunity to take out the dorky faces. You can see that they use the attack down debuffs on Tifa, which is nice because she's my healer, so we're not losing a ton of damage there. And with Rude still being stunned, I'm going to take the opportunity to deal as much damage to him as possible. I'm still a little bit frazzled, so I accidentally hit a fire blow there. He resists fire, but you know, it's fine. It's okay, don't worry about it. Once he's unstunned, you want to be ready because he's going to target one of your party members and actually put a decent amount of damage into them. In this case, he picked Zack, so I go ahead and heal him back up. And we still want to just be dealing as much damage as we can to him, as long as our party's nice and healthy. When you use this It's Not Over Yet, he's going to cleanse his debuffs, and he's going to use Sweet Dreams, putting one of your characters to sleep and beginning his stream phase here. Now, it's only 3 diamond sigils, so it's actually quite easy. You don't even need diamond weapons to deal with it. And since he cleansed his debuffs, I used Tifa's Limit Break to get his defense down, debuffs back on him. Now, Zack is still asleep, but with our other 2 party members, we're just putting as much damage into him as we possibly can. Be ready, because after the stream phase, he's going to pick one of your party members and just start absolutely wailing on them. So in this case, he picks Tifa, and this is the reason I brought the physical defense up buff. So I put the buff on Tifa, I swapped to defensive stance for the start of his cast here, because he's using abilities while he's charging up this cast. You definitely want to keep an eye out for Hammer Blow while this is going on, because that hits really hard, and that gets followed up with Haymaker. So if I hadn't done the defensive stance switching and the healing on Tifa there, she'd absolutely be dead. After that, you can put as much damage as possible into him, and in my case, what I should have done is use Somersault and Judgment Bolt, and there's a possibility that I could have skipped this stream phase. Again, those are my AirPods, you don't have to worry about them. But I started to panic here because I got distracted by that notification, and I forgot that during this phase, Rude counters physical attacks, and I triggered a Haymaker on Tifa. So at this point, I'm starting to panic again because I'm not sure if I'm going to end the stream phase in time, and I do something kind of stupid. I use a Limit Break as if that's going to do anything. Thankfully, it's only Tifa's, and she still puts down the debuffs, but not a whole lot of damage, a little bit wasted. And I'm just barely able to clear the stream phase before it's over, and he goes into the ability. And with just a sliver of HP left, I go ahead and activate Zack's slash combo and the Ramu summon. And that's the end of the fight. So definitely very messy, a lot of room for improvement, only 46,000 or just a little bit higher than it for the score, but that's enough to net us the S+. That's the end of the guide, so thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, like and follow for more, and I'll catch you next time.